Good morning, everybody. It's Lorraine, Alternative Homesteading, on May 27, 2026. And what you're looking at here is part of a psychological operation. Not only is it a psychological operation, but it is vandalism, okay? Pure vandalism. So I washed some of my cat's blankets last night. And if you see something blocking the view, it's because I've got this huge magnet to prevent the third-party interference, which is that, which was not happening this morning. It's happening now because obviously somebody's in my phone. They don't want you to see what I'm showing you. So I have this huge magnet that does block the frequency if positioned in the right, like right now, location. So what they did is they went into my laundry. I did laundry for the cats, as I do every day. And I have these self-heating blankets for the cats. And they're really nice. They cost a little bit more money, but inside there are these metallic, I guess like a lot of targeted people use these blankets to reflect the energy off of our bodies. Well, this is to reflect the energy back to the cats. So this is inside the blanket. It cannot be removed. So what the criminals did is they sliced the blanket on the side and pulled this out and cut it into a triangle. Let me show you here. It's a triangle for the fuck masons. Oh yeah, the F Mason Club. It's the psychological operation of the F Mason Club. So let me position this correctly here so you see here. So they cut a triangle. I guess this is the best they could do under the circumstances, right? But something else that they did is, this is another part of their psychological operation. Now I have a watch, and as you know, the watch has a battery, and the battery has a battery cover. And generally the battery cover, it's a little circular, round, silver device that twists into the battery pack, and there's usually a horizontal line that goes in there so that you could actually use a coin or a tool like a screwdriver to open it up. Well, look what the psychological operations, you know, the military F-ups have done. This is part of the psychological operation against me. So they replaced mine. Let me just show you here. They replaced mine. I was going to replace the battery. But I can't because they replaced mine with these three little dots. You can see here, this is just an evidentiary video of the psychological operation. And going back to New Jersey, and in many of my testimonies online, you could see that they have been performing this number 3 psychological operation on me since New Jersey. So here you go, an evidentiary video on the back of my watch. I'm sure if I contacted Swatch, they would say, oh, we don't have a battery cover that looks like that. And then, of course, they cut the triangle out of my cat's self-warming blanket. Okay, so we're going to get on to some other things that these losers do. So I've got to rework my battery to prevent the wiggling. And this is an octopus because they are an octopus, right? They are an octopus. There are tentacles everywhere. A psychological operation is often shortened to a PsyOp in military context, now frequently called Military Information Support Operations, or MISO, like the soup in the United States. They're organized efforts to influence how people think, feel, interpret events, or behave. I don't know, I think it's just stupid garbage. What's with the threes? 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. Oh, that's right. It must be like some kind of Masonic symbol. They can range from legitimate government wartime messaging campaigns to manipulative propaganda, coercive persuasion, cults, influence, systems, organized harassment by groups, disinformation campaigns, or interpersonal abuse tactics. So I'm going to consider that this is an interpersonal abuse tactic. It's also organized harassment by groups and cults here in Jackson County, Kentucky. But it was happening in New Jersey too. Not to this extent, you know. So what psychological operations are at their core? They're psychological operations to try to shape your perception, emotion, beliefs, decision making, group behavior, morale, and trust. They often rely on repetition, emotional triggers, confusion, fear, social pressure, or information control. Information control. Where'd my watch go? Oh, here. Let's show you again. Ups. Ups, ups, ups. Here. Three dots. Here comes the octopus. This is what the military looks like, by the way. If you want to know what they look like. You know what I was just watching? That movie, They Live. It was sent to me by a longtime friend. I started watching it because, you know, I've seen little little snippets of it. I never watched the whole thing. Well, I just started watching it. And literally, this movie was filmed or presented in 1988. 1988. I was like in my 30s in 1998. And I don't ever remember seeing this film. But it has a completely new meaning for me now. So these glasses that that Jotty Pepper was wearing showed him all the hidden messages in the advertising. He also showed them who the people were that were literally non-humans. He called them aliens. He did not call them reptiles. He called them aliens. So with those glasses, he was able to see the truth. He was able to see the truth about people, the truth about advertising. But, you know, for the targeted people out there, you don't need those glasses because you've already been able to see through the shaft. You've used your innate intuition to see what's going on here. You can already tell who the creeps are. Like when I moved here, I told my mother straight off, I did not like the poopy nurse. I told her straight up, I did not trust her, I did not like her. And you know what? I'm still right. Usually, I'm right. When I'm right, I'm right. You know, when I'm wrong, I'll admit when I'm wrong. But when I'm right, I'm right. Okay, so they often rely on repetition, emotional triggers, confusion, fear, social pressure, or information control. Examples include wartime propaganda, political disinformation, online influence campaigns, like the cyber stalker that's out there. I don't know, she keeps changing her name. She recently moved. She keeps harassing David, A, and me with these slander campaigns, talking about my educational background. Oh, that woman in Kentucky. Meanwhile, she's an agent, okay? She's being paid, and I guarantee probably, like, her contract will likely expire. I mean, it might expire in January of 2027. Unless it goes on for another year. You know, just like the Gorilla Boy. You know, his contract expired after 2 years. They have 2-year contracts. They get to renew them once in a while. Or they'll have a new person come on board to take over. So, yes, so they've got coordinated smear campaigns, like the smear that was spread to Dr. Rebecca Caleb-Wilson, because she knew everything about me before I ever made a phone call to her, right? Denying veterinary care for the animals that were dumped here and procreating. Cult indoctrination. This is PsyOps. Rely on cult indoctrination, workplace mobbing, interrogation, pressure tactics, domestic abuse involving coercive control, and scams using emotional manipulation. I asked ChatGPT for this. So who initiates these PsyOps? Different types of actors and they call actors, because that's what they are, they're acting, can conduct psychological influence campaigns. So there, of course, there's the government and militaries. Some examples include wartime propaganda units, intelligence agencies, counterinsurgency programs, strategic communications divisions, and historically, many countries have used these methods during wars or political conflicts. And then, of course, there are political organizations. Political campaigns or activist groups may use narrative shaping, emotional framing, social media amplification, and fear-based messaging. And I have to apologize for the wiggle, but this is another evidentiary video that my phone is intercepted or I'm being assaulted by microwave weapons. Then there are corporations or PR firms. They use reputation attacks, astroturf campaigns, manufactured consensus, online narrative management. Then, of course, you've got your criminal or extremist groups. They may use intimidation, confusion, isolation, or rumor campaigns. And what are examples of the criminal extremist groups? How about Black Lives Matter? Wasn't that? Then there are small social groups or individuals. How about the fusion centers? Culprits, fusion centers are the primary culprits when it comes to smearing and influencing. They hire cyber stalkers. They hire their community-based agents. They psychologically manipulate families, relationships, neighborhood disputes, workplaces, online communities. Sometimes what people interpret as a large, coordinated operation instead involves they intentionally, through behavior modification, through microwave weapons, engage in social conflict. They instigate social conflict. They instigate confirmation bias. They instigate anxiety amplification, miscommunications, the online algorithm effects. They instigate harassment by a small number of people rather than a vast organization. You know, like the whole criminal cartel here in Jackson County, Kentucky. They're all criminals, yeah. I didn't need a pair of black glasses to see who they were. The distinction matters because conclusions should be evidence-based. So common techniques. Recurring psychological influence methods include gaslighting, making someone doubt their memory, perception, judgment, or reality. How about stonewalling? The refusal of someone to respond to your questions, complaints, FOIA requests. Information overload, flooding people with contradictory information until they become confused and emotionally exhausted. Isolation, that is, the primary tool of the narcissist. One of the primary tools of the narcissist is to isolate the victim, reducing social support or trust in others. Repetition, repeating narratives constantly to make them feel true. Well, they can keep saying everything they want. They're only convincing their own sorry selves of their own sorry-ass lives. Lies. Fear conditioning, creating chronic anxiety through threats, uncertainty, or intimidation. Social proof manipulation, making it appear that, everybody agrees with them. Yeah. Smear campaigns, damaging credibility through rumor or insinuation. And this is the primary tool of the narcissist. And you know that you're living among narcissist criminals when there is a smear campaign to a veterinarian of all people, right? Veterinarian. But that is just another piece of evidence in my little pocket. Intermittent reinforcement. Alternating kindness and hostility to destabilize emotions. Yeah, that's what they send in the honey pots, the honey traps. Symbolic messaging, using emotionally loaded imagery, colors, phrases, and coincidences to create perceived significance, like 3 dots on my phone battery cover so that I can't open the phone now. Or the triangle cut out of my cat's insulated blanket. How to recognize possible manipulation. Some indicators that manipulation or coercive influence may be occurring is repeated attempts to provoke emotional reactions. That's called street theater, right? Pressure to isolate from trusted people. That's when your street theater people tag, they stalk the people that visit you to collect their license plate. They give the license plate to the criminal attorney here, Ross Murray. So then he can make a phone call them into his office and bribe and coerce them into not to participating and to tell another slanderous lie against me to get them to participate in harassing me and damaging my property. Yeah, I know what you're all about, you little piece of weenie boy. Yeah, and nobody likes you anyway. Just so you know, just nobody likes you. Constant confusion or contradiction, efforts to destroy credibility, coordinated rumor spreading. Oh, you know who's queen of that? The poopy nurse. She's such a queen of it that she actually holds a live stream on Facebook talking about me. Yeah, that's okay. We got her number and we got it recorded too. Efforts to destroy credibility, coordinated rumor spreading, escalating intimidation, like throwing flash grenades on your property the 5th time. Sudden pile-ons online, manufactured urgency or fear, attempts to make someone question reality. I am not questioning my reality. I am firmly grounded in reality. Meanwhile, it says I have a low battery when I'm plugged in here. It's important to not jump to conclusions about large conspiracies without verifiable evidence. Thank you, ChatGPT. I hear you. Human pattern recognition can sometimes connect unrelated events to periods of stress or fear. Chatty, I know what the difference is. How to document it carefully. If you believe you're experiencing harassment, coercion, stalking, workplace mobbing, or organized intimidation, careful documentation is more useful than speculation. Keep an incident log, date, time, location, people involved, the exact words or actions, or like you record the conversations. That's right. Record the conversations. Save evidence. Save your emails. Oh, there goes my battery. And there goes, there you go. Save the evidence, text, voicemails, photos, security footage, social media screenshots, backup files in multiple locations. Share with your friends so that they have a backup copy too. Separate facts from interpretations. There, create 2 columns, the observable event and your interpretation. Okay, generally, observation is, and hearing, recording what somebody says is somewhat confirmatory. Look for independent verification. Ask, is there corroborating evidence? Are there other witnesses? Is there documented pattern? Oh, yeah, I can document a pattern like nobody's business. Could there be an ordinary explanation? Well, that's called plausible deniability, but we got that covered. Consult professionals. Depend on attorneys, HR departments, licensed investigators that are not coerced by your local criminals, mental health professionals who are not coerced by the local criminals, digital forensic specialists. If you can find one and pay for one, that's the way to go. Law enforcement, forget about those creatures. They're all in on it. They're the ones that are gaslighting you. They're the ones that are stonewalling you. They're the ones that are falsifying incident reports. They're the ones that are standing by while grenades are being thrown on your property so they can watch what's going on. Yeah, don't think I don't know Daniel Isaacs when you're hanging out on my property watching. Yeah. And just remember, when you are a deputy, you are trespassing my property. You should be charged with criminal trespass. You owe me money, honey. Historical examples are Operation Mockingbird, COINTELPRO, Cambridge Analytica data scandal, the Russian interference in the 2016... Oh, come on, chat. This can't be true. Oh, come on. Okay, so this is what chat's saying. This is what chat was programmed to say, that Russian interference in the 2016 U.S. elections. I'm sorry. I don't agree with that, but We can agree to disagree, chat, because you were programmed to think that, but I wasn't programmed to think that, okay? So these show that information influence campaigns can and do exist historically, though each situation requires evidence rather than assumption. Okay, so there you have it. There's a little evidentiary video, and I'm going to, right now, I'm going to remove the, let me just remove the magnet that's holding my phone in place, and you will see this is the third-party interference. And when I woke up this morning, I actually took photos this morning. I guess it was before the handler or the criminal that's in my phone woke up or realized that I was taking photos, because the photos that I took this morning were perfectly fine. But this is an evidentiary video, and it's an octopus, and here is my battery cover again, and the triangle cut out of my cat's blanket. Leave a comment down below. Look forward to your comments, questions.